Assalamu alaikum, dear student. Today we are going to talk about the very important part of the digestive system and also a gland, the liver. Liver is the largest organ present in the middle of chest. It is just above the stomach. So student, it is present in the middle of the chest. It is just above the stomach. So the stomach is located a little to the left side and it is located a little to the right side, but not completely. It is in the middle position. Okay, so in the middle position, like right here, it is the stomach. Okay, so it is located in this position. So it is also touched with the rib cage and intercostal muscles. So and this way when we run, so the intercostal muscle jump off and down due to the action of inspiration and expiration. So and this way it presses on the liver. So due to the liver, we feel a little ache in our right side. So it is due to the liver pressing, due to the pressing of the rib cage or the liver. So student, let's come about its function. The liver plays an important function because it is located in the middle position. It performs several functions. One is the carbohydrate metabolism, the fat metabolism, protein metabolism, bile secreting, storage of food and chemicals, detoxification of waste. So let's come about the first one is the carbohydrate metabolism. So I will raise the other, I will discuss the later. Okay, so the first one is the carbohydrate metabolism. So actually when we eat food, so the food contain carbohydrate. It reaches to the small intestine after fasting 4 to 5 hours in the stomach. It is converted into chyme-like structure, then it travels toward the small intestine, and the small intestine it is also converted into a mixture-like structure by the action of bile from the liver and pancreatic juices. And then in the last part of the small intestine, which is the ileum, it is absorbed into the bloodstream. So when it is absorbed into the bloodstream, it is carried to the liver through the bloodstream. Okay, so these food contain the glucose, which are actually carbohydrate, but these small components are called glucose. It's called C6H12O6. So these are carried by the bloodstream into the liver, and the liver it is converted into the glycogen by the process called glycogenesis. The excess of glucose are converted into glycogen for storage through the process of glycogenesis. Okay, so the process glycogenesis, okay, excess of glucose converted in glycogen. So student, the excess of glucose present in the blood are converted into the glycogen for storage in the liver, and the remaining which are not stored, these are carried into the liver, into the tissues and cells, where they are used and get ATP from them by the process of glycolysis. Okay, so remain or converted glycolysis. Remaining are used by cell to form ATP by glycolysis. So the excess of glucose are stored in the liver in the form of glycogen by the process of glycogenesis, while the glucose which are not stored, they are carried to the cell and tissues, where they are used by the cells to cell mitochondria to form ATP by the process of glycolysis. And while when the blood glucose level fall, it may be occur due to the during the meal time, and also sometime thirst. So in this situation, the stored glycogen or be converted into the glucose by another process which is named glycolysis. Through this process, the stored glycogen are converted back into glucose for the use of cells. Okay, so I write here stored glucose converted back to glucose. So through this process, the stored glycogen okay, the stored glycogen are converted back into glucose by the process of glycogenolysis. Okay, while if there are some stored amino acids, so these are converted into the glucose instead of stored glycogen. Okay, so another process also occur during this time, which name is gluconeogenesis. Okay, gluconeogenesis. Through this process, if there are some stored amino acid, excess of amino acids, these are converted into glucose instead of glycogen. Okay, so I write here is a converted in glucose. Okay, so during if the glucose will fall in the bloodstream, so two processes can be occur. If there are no amino acids, so the process of glycogenolysis occur, in which the stored glycogen are converted into glucose, which is carried by the blood to the cells and tissues. If there are amino acids, so the process of glyconeogenesis occur, in which the stored amino acids are converted into glucose. So this was the metabolism of carbohydrate. Next we are going to talk about next is the fat metabolism. The liver provides us possible lipids, cholesterol to maintain our survival. So the fats is also an important content of our food. Okay, so when the fats are absorbed in the bloodstream from the small intestine, they are carried to the liver by the bloodstream. But these are not in the form of fats, these are in the form of fatty acid. So right here is a fatty acid plus glycerol. Okay, so fatty acid plus glycerol are carried by the bloodstream from the small intestine into the liver. In the liver, excess of fatty acid and glycerol are converted into fats. Okay, before these were fats, but by the action of bile, these were converted into fatty acid and glycerol. Now these in the liver are being converted by storage into fats. So this process is called the lipogenesis. Okay. Through this process, the excess of fatty acid and glycerol are converted into fats. Okay, so right here is a excess of fatty acid plus glycerol converted in pairs. Okay, so the excess of fatty acid and glycerol are converted in pairs, which are stored maybe in the liver, can be in the liver, and also in the diffuse tissues of the epidermis tissues. Okay, if the fats level fall in the bloodstream, so another process occur. Before, through the lipogenesis, these were converted into fats, but now by the action of another process called as lipolysis. Okay, through this process, if the fats level fall in the blood, so the stored fats are converted back into fatty acid plus glycerol. So I write here is stored fatty acid, not stored SSC. Stored fats are converted in fatty acid plus glycerol. So these are converted back into fatty acid and glycerol, so the blood can carry these back into the cells and tissue, so they maintain their survival. Next is the Next, we are going to talk about the third metabolism function of the liver, the protein metabolism. Okay, protein are made from the chains of amino acids. So you can see here amino acid. Okay, the chain of amino acid together are called protein. Okay, when protein are carried from the small intestine, not the protein but in the form of amino acids, to the liver, these are stored but not in the protein form. When amino acids are carried by the bloodstream to the liver, these are stored into the fats. So amino acids are stored in the form of fats, like it is by the process of, I write here as a lipogenesis, the previous process through which the fatty acid and glycerol converted into the fats. So in this way, the amino acid also convert into fats by the process of lipogenesis. So student, what is the reason that they are not converted as protein and converted into fats? So the reason is this, that fats hold more energy than the protein. So they hold more energy for more time than the protein. So therefore the excess of amino acids are converted into the fats. And if there is need of protein in the body, so these are converted, like these were fats, so these were converted back into not into fatty acid plus glycerol or amino acid, into glucose through the process of the previous, which were called glycogenesis. Okay, the process is called glycogenesis. This is a process which I mentioned before. It is a process through which the excess of carbohydrate, like a nut, the stored glycogen, the excess of carbohydrate, glucose, were converted into the carbohydrate. Now through this process, it is converted back into the glucose, the fats. Okay, so the excess of fats are converted into the glucose. The stored fats are converted into glucose by the process of glycogenesis. But before this process, there also another action also occur. It is converted into glucose plus ammonia group. Okay, ammonia group, which is in the formula NH2. So fats are converted into glucose and also ammonia group, which is NH2. So our body convert the NH2 directly into ammonia, which is NH3, also called is ammonia, and then this ammonia is converted into urea, which then excreted out of the body. So there two actions occur. One is the release of glucose, which are carried to the cells. Another is ammonia group, NH2, which are then converted directly by our body to NH3, which is ammonia, and the third, and it is then converted into urea, which is secreted out of our body. So the NH2 group is very toxic, so it is directly converted into NH3 due to its toxic effects in the body. And third, we are going to talk about another portion, so you have to look to me. I am our fourth function of the liver is the bile secreting. So bile is a type of chemical which are responsible for fat digestion. Bile is actually a combination of some chemical materials, is like I write through this, okay, with this pen: salt, water, cholesterol, phospholipid, and electrolytes. Okay, so this is the combination of biles. Due to these materials, the bile give a yellow pinkish color. The bile are bile are released by the liver but stored in the gallbladder. So due to these chemicals, the gallbladder have yellow pinkish color due to the presence of bile. Bile are responsible for fat digestion. When food come out of the stomach after fasting 4 to 5 hours in the first part of the duodenum, so the gallbladder is stimulated by the arrival of food to secrete bile over the food. So bile are secreted, and this way these are very important. These carry some toxic material present in the food, like ethanol, the drugs, the all red blood cells, other toxic materials which are present in the food. So directly these carry out of the body. So you have to look to me. And this way our next topic is about, you have to look to me. The fifth function of the liver is storage capacity. So the liver plays also important role in the storage. And the most important is the bile, which are stored in the liver. So bile are stored in the liver. Next, the liver also stores some vitamins like vitamin A, B12, D, E, K. So some of these vitamins are also stored in the liver. And another function, it also store the glycogen. Okay, glycogen, which is stored form of the glucose, and also other like fatty acid and glycerol, also other enzymes also stored in the liver. So you have this portion. Next we are going to talk about the last function of the liver is the detoxification. And detoxification is the discharging of waste material out of the body. So the liver also plays an important role in this way. The excess, so liver detoxifies the waste material like the extracellular material, the invaded bacterium, the copper cells, the inactive hormones like iron, inactive cells, the drugs, the alcohol, and a lot about the things which are not active in the body, like the all red blood cells, which we have died about 20 days. So these are also excreted out of the body with the help of liver. So student, I hope that you have learned more about my lecture. So please subscribe my channel to receive more of my videos.